Should be good. Oh, they changed the title screen. If I select continue, will it start me on the first of the second one? No. No, it will not. Resolve. Adventure. Resolve. Let's go for it. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Thanks for joining us on this weekend stream. As we start up the second half of our Ace Attorney adventure. There's legit too much for me to super explain. So if you have questions,
here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean,
please let me know.
Those days in London seem like a dream, but I do miss my time in England's vast capital.
Essentially,
he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer.
Or
I've no doubt that at
Japanese
this very
native
moment,
that has
he's fighting some noble cause in court.
transferred to England to learn from the courts of English law. And we kind of got involved in a massive conspiracy that hasn't been solved yet.
To visit you.
At all.
My life
Not
has
even a
been
little bit.
such a whirlwind since I returned.
There are unresolved parts from literally
no
all
one
5
could have
cases
predicted
that we did. And
what has happened. Just 2 months after
apparently this
arriving
ties
home.
it all together. Which would be good. She didn't say anything about finding herself faced with another awful crime. Oh my god, was it her again?
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Oh my god. So what? She killed another person? Oh. No.
So please,
very much not.
I ask for your guidance.
She's still smiling though.
Kazuma-sama.
And along the way we achieved the Blossoming Attorney, the adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. We were joined by Sherlock Holmes, or at least Sherlock Holmes at Holmes. You know, you ask your mom, hey, I'd like the great detective known throughout the land as a famous and cunning individual that solves crimes. And then she says, oh, we have that cunning individual at home. And then Sherlock Holmes at Holmes is actually Sherlock Holmes. Not quite as competent. Twice as entertaining, but, you know. This was our assistant from the first game. She went home because her father was ill, which struck me as odd because the criminal from the first game was a Brit that was skilled in poisons and had in fact poisoned the victim of the first case, John Watson. Sorry, John Wilson. John Watson at home. And then got off scot-free because of some deal with the British government. Or, I think she got extradited, but she's still here and dead. And so I'm wondering what happened to Susato's father. She left during the last case, where a conspiracy was uncovered between these 4 names, including Kazuma's, who was our best friend who died because he tripped over a kitten in the second case. Kind of an ignominious end, but, you know, whatever happens, happens. Oh, well, he's still alive. That's good. So maybe the sickness really was just to get Susato here, narratively. So that's her father. I hardly recognize you. Cut a fine figure, Counsel. Well, you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. And he was also best friends with John Wilson / Watson. Excuse me? I'd be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today. Yeah, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life, it's a complete fabrication, the whole thing. Ray Menbami. Sorry, there's so many pun names, and in Ace Attorney I try to go over them all a few times just to make sure I'm not missing anything. My best friend. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial, accused of committing a truly awful murder. It's always murder. Or in the case of one of the cases in the last game, attempted murder. Probably the first one that ended without a crime. Kind of. She hasn't realized who I am. Oh, is she in disguise? If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Because she has a personal tie to the defendant. Is that you, Sasato? I'm so sorry I didn't say something sooner. It's just that... No, what are you doing? What's going on? What? Varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge. Look at you. You look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial Yume University. A male student. I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see... We're pretty, pretty not progressive around here, so I had to make her into a male so that she could be the defense. Show me! Never before in my life I felt so frustrated having been born to this body. Courts of Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom. Despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people alike. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. My greatest friend. I just worry I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already, and yet, just because you're a woman... What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? So gallant and dashing. Oh, right? Please don't look at me like that with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just... You really do look so dashing. Yeah, yes, you mentioned that once or twice. Waluigi laugh. You should be pleased. Wah! Means you look convincing as a man. I'm pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. First case, always, always, always. No investigation, they throw you directly into things. It usually makes sense. Sometimes they go a little bit hand with their reasoning. It's usually like the first case of someone, because they've always been introducing new lawyers. But even this one, it's her first case, so that makes sense. In the, I think, second game, Phoenix gets bonked on the head with a fire extinguisher and has amnesia, so he has to be taught everything again. This is a very serious game, guys. All the time. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Shall I be standing by you till the bitter end in this trial? Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. Court's about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Alright, so tradition-wise, we have to be facing the Payne ancestor. Winston Payne, Gaspin Payne, other puns about Payne. There's simply no other way, that's all there is to it. But Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this. Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. I'd only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. Classic, yep, didn't want to burden her with that. Is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was? The victim seems to be the perpetrator of the first murder in the first game. Oh, is he gonna be our assistant? That's hysterical. I'm Sasato Mikitoba, judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. Then he tripped over a cat and died. 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times have I wished he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Can't remember if Naruhodo was actually involved in that or not. I think it was Wilson, a name I didn't recognize, Kazuma, and I think another name I didn't recognize. We'll have to see, though. Yep, the Payne ancestor. Ouchie. Right, they named him Ouchie instead of Payne. I had forgotten. Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready. Ah yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryutaro Naruhodo. That's almost the same. Sorry? Oh, yeah, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you in this little venture, so I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, counsel? Yeah, that's right, that's me. I'm Ryutaro. He was vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. Ah. Seems Ryutaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. The name Naruhodo, will that perchance be... Maybe think of Runosuke, currently in Britain as part of the study program. This is, his cousin. That's right. Atari has been studying in the provinces, but is called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has had to call in for a country boy. Ray, please. No, not Sasato. No. dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending me? His wide skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not. Wonder if they have a new pursuit theme, or if it's different. Or wait, I said the same thing twice there. I wonder if it's different or if it's different, yeah. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flit. Alright, give me the deets. First case, always a little bit shorter than the other ones. So we should not be too crazy getting through this one. Hopefully. Unless my my logic part of my brain just kind of malfunctions, self-destructs, etc. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may very well affect the very future of our empire. Ah yes, just like the trial 9 months ago, which you lost. Yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock. Dear me. Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense, to determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. "9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now." Yeah, he defended himself from murder, which was one of two times he did that. He did it the very next case, too. Then not again, right? No, not again. This time. I mean, I've defended myself from murder in these games a solid half dozen times at the very least. It is a little bit of old hat. It's like also kind of a comfy blanket that you've, you know, used for years. Pleasant all the same. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. I consent to answering simple questions, yes. Wonder if she has the exact same animations as Ryunosuke. To start with, you will state the name of the victim. That is simple. I couldn't forget it if I tried. I have forgotten it. Ah. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are wont to blank. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position, and in that guise, even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances. Just, come on, let me open the court record. Pretty please. Yes, court record. People, yep. Don't take too long over it. Except there's no timer, but okay. That's fine. Alright, check the court record with R. Okay, we are now able to unlock it. We're going to do this first. Giselle Brett. Yep. Time of death, 11th August, around 2 p.m. Cause of death, single deep stab wound from behind, piercing a lung resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. That's going to be important, probably. Extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim in both eyes. Not sure what that's supposed to mean at all, but good to know either way. Name of the victim. Okay, well, to be fair, I could have told you that without looking. Yes, I have the answer. Name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country. Well, I forgot it, and I was the one presiding over the case, but thank you. Well aware of the significance of that name as a member of the Empire's judiciary. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why, then, is her name indelibly associated with our own Empire's judicial history? pretty bold to have a spin-off and not tie everything together in the first spin-off, but I guess if you had two being developed back to back, it makes sense. They knew it was going to be popular. The face of a victim. It was Queen Victoria the whole time. I knew it.
Yes!
It was actually Queen Elizabeth. From beyond the veil of time. Yep, she didn't tell us why she killed him. We have no idea. No heckin' clue. I was indebted to that man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. We're not going to have juries in this one, are we? I mean, we'll have juries, obviously, in the English part of the game, so aka probably the next 3 or 4 cases, but this one's going to be old-fashioned, interviewing them separately, maybe a couple at the same time, which was something I think got first introduced not in this game, but in the spin-off / crossover of good old Professor Layton. I think that came out before, but I'm not 100% sure. Wait, did the swan also die? Because the swan was definitely a living part of her hat. That might be the most important question here today. No motive. And she was removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? Well, it sounds pretty cool. Oh, there's a consular court there. Yes, of course. Oversaw the negotiations personally, correct. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the women safely aboard a steamship. And yet, the very day before her departure, this woman was killed. Only the day before. That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of remembering basic names. You are now a fully qualified lawyer. Ah, oh, thank you, Your Excellency. Ginyu Force. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th August in broad daylight. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. I wonder if the guy that definitely has tuberculosis is still alive and kicking. The investigator. He was in the first 2 cases. And then the last 3, so... Oof. We'll see. Incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. Cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. An injury which proved fatal. There were 2 persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membani. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. It's full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. The lawyer really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about Powerful motive. Yeah, I'd like the motive. Explain, please. Thank you. Is the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand? Beg your pardon. No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Lombani-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe. Yes, I am. Working with Professor Mikitoki in his laboratory at the moment. Confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Oh, she worked with Wilson before? I mean, I guess that's a motive. I can see it, but like 9 months seems silly. We'll get to the bottom of this theoretically. Maybe. God, I hope this ties up loose ends. I enjoyed the first game a lot, and I think retroactively, I kamikaze. Have you seen my new invisible cat? We worked pretty hard for the technology, shrink it down to cat size, but I think it's gone quite well. Then find the fluff. If I do that, I am liable to A, never come back, B, come back with a very unhappy cat, or C, die. Any of those three options. I also get the feeling that none of those three options are especially bad for you. The motive was revenge, plain and simple. Find her. The fugitive. How are you today, Kamikaze? Welcome to the weekend. How you doing? More deets. Alright. Being alone together. Anyone gets where that line is, you get a cookie. I've seen too many movies where people just yell stuff. I'm not placing it. I remember Where Is She screamed in like the hoarsest, like sore throat voice for Batman. But that gets trumped by just me thinking about the line, I'm not wearing hockey pads. Because the rest of the lines don't matter with that one. Contextually, it's the best. Oh, we just watched Legend of Vox Machina last night. How is that? I haven't seen it yet. I really want to. But I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I'm a pretty big fan of Crit Role, so I definitely will be. If it's literally any good. If it had one bright moment, I'd be happy. Why were you alone with her? Oh, well, no, it's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. The detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. Just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. Let us be clear, at the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim. In the hut. You and no one else. The find her line sticks with you in the deepest part of your brain, but I can't recall where it's from. I feel that. It's been legitimate years since I played any of the Arkham games. I guess I'm on a Batman kick all of a sudden. And in Arkham City, you interrogate Riddler informants. And, you know, he usually says, like... He interrogates them, he says a badass line, and then he knocks them out. But in one of the takes, I guess they were high or something, because he just says, "Night, night," and then knocks him out. And it was so off-key to the rest of the performance, it just sticks with me. But at some point, I'm probably going to forget where it's from, and I'm just going to scream out night night to, like, I don't know, my wife, and it might terrify her. It'll just come from deep within me. Prosecution Council seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least we need to assemble more facts. Alright, so there are other people there, and it said she died within minutes. So, if it wasn't immediate, she could have been stabbed before. You never know. Please tell me about the bathing spot. I bet the detective that's guarding Giselle was the guy with tuberculosis, which means he survived with tuberculosis for like 10 months. I wonder if it's still played off as a joke. A terrifying, terrifying joke where he coughs up blood every few minutes. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices. From the West. We're told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skin's... No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would no criminal be relaxing by the sea? For old time's sake, I believe. Excuse me. Is that like a last meal? Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply. Why would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In a matter of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong. But in fact, something did go wrong. So don't look at me. It's the young student girl who did it, not I. Provoking him's so fun, though. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, she managed to avoid incarceration instead of continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other a number of occasions, seeing the murder of the mentor for whom she had such great respect, enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it was only temporary until the extradition to Shanghai, you can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Peruse this exhibit, a photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. A tragic image. Alright. She has a pen, a bottle. And worst of all, some spilled wine. As I understand it, then, the victim and the defendant were alone in the beach hut at this time. This is deeply troubling. I must say the finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Yeah. Call a witness. Come on. Ah, multiple witnesses. Delightful. Delightfully devilish, Seymour. Police detective, show me the tuberculosis. Because at some point he's just gonna keel over and die on the stand, I assume. I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago here in this very courthouse, when that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Alright, we sliced his top knot off. It's the way of the world. Since then he's grown a little cinnamon bun of hair up front. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day my former self died. The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, Council? Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there's been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchie grow. You see the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown. This is a murder investigation. I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where's the hope exactly? I said silence! Today I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you, and my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. Ooh, never change, Ace Attorney. God, I would die to just talk to some of the translator teams that have to translate these jokes over to make them make sense. Them and Persona are both so impressive with how they do it. These games are great. Oh. Them and my other favorite puzzle series, Professor Layton. They both hold a special place in my heart. Except they killed Professor Layton. Oh well. I got 7 good Professor Layton games. That's a good amount. All your base are belong to us. A winner is us for playing these games, Kamikaze. I definitely agree. A haircut is hardly comparable to a life. That's why you're my... It is! It's tuberculosis, man! Oh, no. And the other witness is... Oh, the other witness is the person we cleared of murder in the game's 4th case. And then he decided that he was going back to Japan so he would never have to deal with another murder case. He talks extremely motion heavy. Osanaga, yep. Except this time he's got a turtle tied to his head. Ah, he's in disguise. It worked for me, I hardly recognized you. And you are Saseki Natsumi. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes, soon to be sold out. Satirical I Am the Cat, Sensational Success. By Saseki Natsumi. He did get more famous. Oh my goodness. Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? I just love that this guy's eyebrows still look like they have been drawn on. Like he stencils them in every day. It's that or they're caterpillars. What on earth is Saseki-san doing here? Oh right, because Susato knows. Oh yeah, that's Susato in disguise. I figured it might have been obvious, but they don't name her as such. He's very motion heavy. Oh yeah, he almost had, I think, a heart attack on the courtroom floor in the 4th case, so pretty used to it. He was more poetic in the 4th case. Now he's possibly a little too famous. Fame has gotten to his head. It'll also be a good time. Amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, glasses and a turtle. You don't follow the Ace Attorney game, so you have no idea what's going on. The nice thing about that is, well, A, we're starting a new game. B, it's already a spin-off, so you can slice out anything about the mainline 6 games or the 2 investigation spin-offs, and you just need to know a little bit about the first spin-off, which is essentially Phoenix Wright's ancestors' like journey to becoming a lawyer. He's currently not in this case. He's still in London, and will probably go and be him after this case. It's the disguise, isn't it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It's my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. The first game essentially gave us bargain bin Sherlock Holmes in the form of Sherlock Sholmes. And he helped us investigate a number of crimes, including 2 times that we were investigated for murder, and then a global conspiracy that has not at all been tied up because this is the 2nd game in the series and it's supposed to tie up all the loose ends. Right now, the person on trial... Sorry, the person that has been murdered was in fact the person who did the murdering in the first case of last game. She killed Dr. Watson. Sorry, bargain bin Dr. Watson. Dr. Wilson. We don't know why. I assume we'll figure out in this case, or maybe not. A lot of this stuff hasn't been solved yet, so it's news to you and me. The guy on the right was investigated for murder in the 4th case of last game. He was innocent. He got sent back to Japan. The guy on the left has tuberculosis, and it's played off for jokes. It's really weird. I'm pretty sure he's gonna die. But it's been 9 months and he's not dead yet, so, he's an undercover investigator. His disguises are intriguing. This was our judicial assistant. Because Japan doesn't allow women to be lawyers, she is in disguise as the main character's cousin. I think that about covers it, to the best of my ability. Oh, he was a former student. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. Practically threw that newspaper at me. A newspaper containing an article about a discussion between my father and Saseki-san. The debate became quite spirited. And the best part of the case, the Ace Attorney games, is that case-by-case basis, you don't need to know a lot. They're not self-contained, but they're close to it. And a lot of the references are just that. Whereas, like, the main mystery of each case is, like, cut and dry, solved by the end. Not always. If you do like the Ace Attorney games, you should look for the original trilogy that's always on sale on Steam and every other gaming device. Because that's where it all started. It's really good. Yeah, I think it was originally like a Game Boy Advance game. It was in like 2002. Nuts. So good. But the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles is also another great start. Because it's just a 2-game series, it's tied together, and it's pretty self-contained as well. You have to charge your Switch for it and play Pokemon Arceus, and I'm sad. My deepest condolences. I've definitely had that happen. But usually with this controller dies all the time. So, like, I'll get really excited for a game, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play some more Xenoblade Chronicles 2 right now, or Pokemon Diamond, or I'm about to stream and it dies on me, and then I have to, like, wait to stream. Did that happen today? Perhaps. Won't talk about it. It's fine. Still early in the day, as you can tell by the sunlight just, like, charging off of my solar-powered forehead. So I have so much energy today. Very early in the day for us. Have you started it yet? Or you can't even start it yet? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it, because I trust you guys quite a bit. You have something on your face now. Ah, yes. Ah, how unsightly. Coughing up blood. I do apologize. Happens a lot. You weren't at the beach. But my system was invited. Okay. Also, one second. Let's look at... Well, let's look at the crime scene first, just in case we miss anything. Doesn't seem like it. Glass, wine, has a ballpoint pen in her hand. The swan died with her, somehow? Okay. Oh, spirited as in it was fun. Oh, he got his cat back. That's good. Or he got a new cat? Is this all of it? Alright, there's no more clues there. Got it. Understood. Of course, being an author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. But if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. Getting my exercise today. Very well, must ask you now to present your formal testimony to the court. An account of all you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. Oh, coughing up blood again. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am. Oh, and how'd your friend's D&D podcast go? The first one was Tuesday or Thursday, I can't remember because my brain kind of like short circuits, but I remember it was happening. The day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch the crab. Wait, you were trying to catch a crab? Okay. When suddenly I heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, 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 that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. Okay. So, I'm pretty sure it's the first case in the game, so it's not going to be too difficult. I'm pretty sure it just said a single stab wound. Yeah. Alright, well, I think we've solved the first part. Yes, they definitely saw the very moment of this heinous crime. God, I can't wait for his hair to fall off at the end of this. Sorry, it's also a running joke in the series that Pain and his ancestor, in this case, Ouchie, lose their hair whenever they lose, like, a court case. There's one incredible sequence in the original trilogy where it, like, gets blasted off by logic. You gotta see it to believe it. Podcast was just a test stream. Got it. Fair enough. I've definitely had those. I wasn't able to start yesterday because you had your college orientation. Also fair. Also fair. The pen she was holding. Well, hopefully orientation went well then. Usually it's pretty boring. Syllabi? Syllabuses? And such. Session 0 will be streamed February 7th. Well, that's... Next Monday? Next Sunday. That's next Sunday. No, that's next Monday. Figured it out. Nice. Appears that in her dying moments with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Oh yeah, this is also the 1800s, so like no DNA or anything. They take one picture and they're like, ah yes, this is good. And they'll see blood everywhere and they're just like, gross. Clean that up. The owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. RM. Ray Membani. The initials of the defendant. No! Dies. So the question here is this actually her pen? Or, in classic Ace Attorney fashion, does it belong to someone else whose initials are also RM? That's usually how it goes. I can at the very least predict usually how the first case will go. I'm pretty on the straight and narrow. Still entertaining because you're basically watching a soap opera drama every case. It's delightful. Oh yes, me. Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom? Well, actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. Pull yourself together, please. Alright, you already found the inconsistency, let me get to it. The first case is always kind of a tutorial, it takes a little while. Well, when you do get to play Pokemon Arceus, though, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. All right, just gonna, yeah, blah 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 blah. Stab wildly, blah 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 blah. Blood on the blade. Stab the victim multiple times. Okay, no, she stabbed one time. Come on. Get your act together. You're an inspector with a turtle on your head. That accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me. I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. Oh, injection. What's the meaning of this menacing pose, Counsel? I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. And just point. Perfect. PowerPoint. Microsoft might sue me for that, though. This query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga. In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Well, yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. Where the why? What the how? That cannot be. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed a one time only. Oof. In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. And Sasaki-san, you claim to have seen Mabani-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Well, yes I did. Wildly! but both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and? It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once, therefore there's no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. Arg. True. Only one logical conclusion. I didn't see the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant, in fact, withdrew the blade from the victim's... I'm not sure this is helping our case that much. I don't know how big of a point this is. But alright.
Objection!
That's not even like a top 5 objection there by Ouchie. I've heard at least 5 more terrifying and or annoying objections from various prosecutors. If you look up Von Karma, his objection, it definitely sounds like a demon from hell is screaming objection. It's horrifying. Oof. That was a weak objection. Everybody in this bloodline has a weak objection. But I've heard even screechier ones from both Winston and Gaspin Payne. Yes, those are both puns. Everything is a pun. Welcome to the Ace Attorney universe. Also, don't worry about the weird cultural differences when they say Ace Attorney is in California and then they eat jelly donuts. That's definitely sushi. Just don't think about it too hard. Eat your hamburgers. The so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who had only half a head of hair. Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference. Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. All you've successfully shown with your little display is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagant. Well, we knew that already. Dies again. That's second tally for death in the game, right there. Francisca gets your heart. Go on. You and me both, brother. Though there's something about Godot failed her second death saving throw. That's okay. We get at least half a dozen of those per trial. Godot gets my heart like nice and slow, very calm. He's just so cool and collected, and somehow a believable character, even though he has stark white hair and a visor that makes him look like Cyclops from X-Men. But that's his theme. That's not really his objection. I think the official title of his theme is like the scented fragrance of dark coffee or something similar. Of course, he throws things. Well, everybody throws things. Oh no. Is this... I'm gonna get water poisoning. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Oh yes. Going for the jugular. What does Father mean by that? Hear your answer then, counsel. The truth is, I don't really know, but I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. Making sure you drink enough water. That's... hey. My life is in your hands. Well, only one of these three would make it so that we don't immediately lose the case. But pulling a knife out of someone doesn't save their life. Don't do that. If you ever find yourself shanked and or stabbed by anything, you gotta leave it in. It's much worse if you pull it out. Coagulation is a powerful thing. Point is, being a medical research assistant, Membami-san was compelled to act when faced with a wounded victim. That's not. This is a bad case of logic. Don't do this. Oh, okay, we're following it down. Going down with the trip. Seems this is the best we can expect of this young yokel. Indeed. Here does it suddenly feel... Slipshod assertion just put forward by the Yokel Defense Council. Oh, they're gonna talk about it. Yeah, you do more image Xing than ever going in. There's a reason I'm streaming and not watching the game there, Josh. We're just vibing today. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Yes, that is very true. Pulling a knife is bad. Alright, well, at least we're following basic real-life logic for now. Again, this is the series that has used a parrot as a key witness in a murder investigation. Also a whale. But it was a killer whale. Don't forget it. Yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows that. How many people have done that? Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... You don't watch Ace Attorney for cases? You watch to learn random life lessons. Amen. Is it true what they're telling me? Yes. It's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. And also other people. Not everyone. But some. You are basic medical qualified. And my mom's a nurse. So she came home all the time with gruesome ass stories. Maybe that's why I get, like, very queasy around gore. It did not have the numbing effect that she probably expected and or wanted. Or maybe she was just desensitized. CPR qualified. Me too. Sato, pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here. We're here to learn basic medical knowledge. Maybe solve a murder while we're at it. Cross-examination. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my adjudication immediately afterwards. God, the medical story she had. And still pulls out of her butt that she just remembers from like 25 years ago. Just... people, what are they? How do we survive as a species? And for me, without thinking could cause heavy bleeding, it's basic knowledge that any medical research system with an ounce of sense. Well, maybe my defendant never had an ounce of sense to begin with. Have ever watched Code Black? It rings a bell. Let me look it up. My mom has watched this with me in the room at times, is what I remember. She's more of a legal drama person, but I remember watching this with her, at least in parts. No good reason why he pulled the knife. Let's not forget, the young student didn't have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Okay. I think we're going to have to press on this stuff and just try to get them to slip up on stuff. If you use due care and attention, it would be alright. I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really, but, yes, pet the turtle. Pet the turtle. That's definitely a fake turtle. Still pet it. Medic would need to be present, blah, 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 blah. Doing it without thinking would be madness. Clearly the defendant does not possess an ounce of sense. There we go. Hell yeah. Now that's the defense I'm looking for. I'm not sure you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense. That's exactly what I should be labeling my best friend as. That's why we're best friends. I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. We're big braining it here. If that's friendship, I don't understand it. And if that's a head of hair, actually I kind of do understand it. Don't got much. Alright, that's a murder weapon. That is the biggest gavel I've ever seen. Or he's got gigantic hands. Or both. Maybe he did it. Well, that didn't work. But it was hilarious, and that's a lesson everyone must learn. Judge is gonna kill someone someday? I mean, I think he's killed someone already with that look.
Hold it!
Sorry, I'm just imagining, like, the judge being the murderer in one of these games in the future. Hasn't happened, because the judge is always the same white-bearded man. I'm pretty sure the judge canonically is the same exact judge through all 6 of the mainline games, which is absolutely hysterical to me. He's a character in and of itself. But, like, I mean, they have done cases where, like, the law is against you because of corruption or whatever. But, like, the judge himself? That'd be kind of fun. Maybe not that judge, though. People have strong feelings about the Ace Attorney judge. And the feelings are all protect this guy. Judge is a homie. You better believe it. But a different judge that we didn't like very much, I could do it. I could see it working. I've heard that there's going to be a new Ace Attorney game this year, so I'm pretty pogged out of my mind for that. Excited to see where they can go with it. Rational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. Look, he knows all about blood. I'd trust him. He coughs it up right there.
Hold it!
Alright, well this isn't going anywhere. Very fast.
Attention!
Evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings. I'm pressing everything right now, and then we're gonna see if it's an objection or if it's a quote-unquote like calculated loss where you're supposed to feel helpless and then something new comes up.
Hold it!
I've seen both for sure. Okay, let's go and look through the court record then. Jeez, apologies. I know what to do. Game. Yeah. Examine thing. Oh, did I just get the opportunity to examine things? Time to start your journey as Dawn Dancer. Oh yeah. You gotta... Well, first of all, I didn't realize that the game was coming out now. I definitely thought it was coming out in like March or April because I completely missed it because I don't have good brain. But now people are starting to really get into it, and I'm excited for just like a fresh experience. Even if it's not perfect, graphics don't really matter to me almost at all. They really don't. Because I'm sure whenever I make my video game, it's going to have the worst graphics possible because I'm not an artist. No, I'm not. So as long as it's fun and like interesting and refreshing, see me getting really excited by it. Deep sad wound, piercing a lung resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within a minute. Piercing a lung resulting. Pupil constriction. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Yeah. I don't really know what the magnifying glass is really supposed to do here. It's not like we're looking at anything except for maybe this heckin' swan head. Oh, I should look at this. Yeah, the heckin' thing they gave me. Duh. I'm a big dummy. Nothing appears out of the ordinary. Then why did you have me take it off? Oh, we're unscrewing the barrel. Oh. 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 Reservoir that holds ink. Feel it draining from a bottle up through the nib. There's something wrong, Father. Well, there doesn't seem to actually appear to be any ink in there. That's all. Yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. Okay. I'm not sure this has helped me at all, if I'm being real. She's very clearly engraved here. In fact, Miss Brett was clinging to this pen in her dying moments. It's very clearly a message. What's that? Some sort of emblem here, but it isn't a Yume University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. Business of some kind, but that would seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. I'm not really sure this has helped me at all, by the way. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, it's given me some stuff, but I don't know where to present that. Unless, did they talk about this? Yeah. Oh, I went too far. Yeah, but we have examined those things. And while we found a clue, I don't know. I'd be thinking, no good reason. Did have a motive for killing the victim. Let's go. Was the defendant's highly respected? I don't know, like, where this would really go. Already pressed. We can present that, like, a knife blade.
Objection!
No, I don't know. There's gotta be something else, right? Starford is dope. You get me too excited. Oh wait, now I can look at... Alright, I'm kind of big mad about that. Now I can examine. I would have examined this from the start. Important article on the back of the page as well. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. Isn't that your lab? Let me see that. The poison's been... Wait, you didn't even realize your poison's been stolen? Oh boy. As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. Not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned this information? Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there? Why are you working on poison? Stop! Ray was in charge of the project. What's written here is true. It means she's trying to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. Let's read the article very carefully. And then that's the interview. So this was quite an exchange. Oh, poison article. Okay. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from the medical research laboratory. Following a lecture at Yume by Saseki Natsume on the 11th August, come to light that a very disturbing incident took place. Deadly poison being secretly developed by the university's forensic science laboratory was stolen. Even the smallest amount entering the body, either via the mouth or via a wound from a poison-laced blade, would prove fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot detect the newly developed We're gonna go through this again. Another poison we can't detect. Oh my lord. Onset of symptoms occur within minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. That's something they noticed in the autopsy. Commissioned by the military, huh? I think... I mean, we got a new thing. Let's try that. Okay, I pressed the wrong button.
Objection!
Hey! We're not too stupid. You don't understand how stoked I am for there to be a free roaming Pokemon world? I do understand, because I am exactly the same amount of stoked. Maybe less. But I have also been excited for a refresh to the world. I haven't really been taken aback by a Pokemon game since Gen 5. It needed something new. Like, actually new, not just like a little bit new, like Sun and Moon. It needs other things going on for it. You can have like a classic and a new, and you can have both. It makes sense to me. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound. Deadly poison has been stolen from the laboratory. Blah, 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 blah. Poison has no relevance in this case. Mark, choose Cyndaquil, Oshawott, or Rowlet. Alright. I'm of two minds here. Rowlet is like my favorite of that gen, but it's pretty much, for me, it's gonna be impossible because Cyndaquil was the very first Pokemon I ever had. I never played Red and Blue because I was too young and or just didn't realize it existed. So Pokemon Gold is my first ever Pokemon game, and Cyndaquil was my first ever Pokemon. I gotta pick Cyndaquil. Just, you know, the nostalgia's, I think, too strong. Disclaimer, I have no idea what their final evolutions look like, so if Typhlosion looks really stupid, I'm so sorry. You like the Decidueye? That would be my... If I removed the good old nostalgia goggles, I would pick Decidueye. Grass Ghost. They have new final evolutions. I don't know what they are, but that might not be true. Just so's you knows. I know their initial forms still look the same, but they have new final evos. What am I... Oh, the article. Right. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says... Deadly in tiny quantities. One of those things. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting? Well, if the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Mambami-san, would withdraw the blame as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, There's an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body.
Objection!
It's complete utter nonsense. Well, not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body to not accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life. And the prosecution cannot deny the possibility. You not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, no, it's because it's not. No. We read the same article. Shisato, it's because it's not detectable. We're in the 1800s still. They can't detect it. Also, this is literally how the first case of the first game went, where they're like, "Oh, he died from a gunshot," but no, it was in fact poison. A reflection of it in this case. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense. Well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it? Yokel? Why did Ray suspect the stolen poison was involved? Because this person was a criminal who they let keep working in the poison department. In the medical department. She only worked on poisons, though. From Expression Council, it appeared that those are not empty words. Naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware. Words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. Court demands evidence! You got it. I've got some fountain pens that you might need to see. Present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article? This pen that I'm pretty sure is not Ray's, maybe?
Take that!
How would you explain this piece of evidence in connection to the newspaper article? In truth, I'm not really sure. My father always taught me to ask my elders whenever I was in trouble, so I thought I should ask you. Okay, it was the wrong one. Got it. Alright. Never mind. We'll go to the autopsy, which makes more sense. We're not far enough where we can talk about the pen. I got it. This guy looks like a Japanese Tom Selleck. I'd feel pretty comforted as Tom Selleck was my father and legal advisor. Who wouldn't want Magnum P.I. in their corner? Yeah. It's because she had the same symptoms.
Take that!
The pupil dilation. It's the pupil dilation. Circumstances of pupils dilate when they die. If there's extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes. In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. I think you'll agree, this is very compelling evidence. You yokel student and yokel professor! Legal defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions. No. You're best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please. Well, it pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know. I think this is the first game where you're gonna strive to complete the Pokédex. I feel like it's a lot easier, not easier, that's not the right word. It trivializes it. It's a lot more satisfying when you can see the Pokemon in the overworld to catch them. It saves a lot of time running around, and then, you know, and then you hear the cry and you're like, oh, it's, you know, it's another frickin' Rattata. And then you throw out, and then you finally click run. Whereas opposed to you're just running around and you see the Pokemon and you're like, I need that one. I can see why it'd be far more tempting. The only Pokemon game that I have completed the Pokedex in 15 years is Sword and Shield. And I didn't really like Sword and Shield, but I was still compelled to do so. Well, because I could see pretty much all the Pokemon. So I'd know where to run around, and then I'd just run around and find them. It'd be perfect. Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace till he reads of it in the newspaper. Take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision. Pitiful situation, really. You should have more control over your students. Rather than allowing them off on killing sprees. She was going to break that table in half. None of this is Professor Mikotomo's fault. Well, hey, Chell. Thanks for the subscription. I appreciate it, as always. This is all my fault. You stand accused here. Outbursts like that will not be tolerated. Actually, wouldn't that be bad? Doesn't matter, but it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day. So you knew. I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's why I noticed some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount, it was. You should let me know immediately. I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. So I had a very good idea who the thief was. You don't mean... Yeah, just like confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. So when I saw the knife in her back, I couldn't understand what had just happened, and then a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes had shrunk to tiny pinpoints. That would be kind of scary to see. Oof. It's like this almost uncanny valley-esque if they're so tiny that... Oof. so sorry for staying silent all this time. Attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that could be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you confessed in the end. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Objection! Objection!
New evidence, huh? Ah, the classic withholding of evidence. I mean, it's not that damning. She said she was pulling the knife out. This is just a picture of her pulling the knife out. But alright. Sure. Who took that picture, by the way? Inquiring minds would like to know. Counsel for the defense? Was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom? Perhaps his voice is yet to break. Yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature. Stop discussing my puberty. I'll show you who's slow to mature. Careful now. Sando's starting to show her face here. It's often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. Look, if the picture was taken right then someone obviously witnessed it. I would like to talk to that person. Pretty, please. Almost as classic as the updated autopsy reports. Yeah, who did take that photograph?
Objection!
Oh, does it not matter? Because, no, I'm pretty sure it does in fact matter.
Objection!
It's crucially important. It's an absurd thing to say. Whoever took this photograph or print was a witness to the death. Court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony. Ah, I didn't think about that. I will reveal the identity of the person. Well, I'm afraid I can't do that. See, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday, but there's nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. That almost sounds like someone who wanted to frame somebody. You understand then, Counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it is fit for submission as evidence to the Supreme Court. You knew it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor. What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses. Yeah. This doesn't change anything. I would like to know how the swan died, though. It was real. Gosh darn it. Hey, Spookster. You wanna come in here? No, you're just here to meow and to stare. Alright, that's fair. Understandable. Yeah, have a good one. We are not able to verify the claim. Oh, but it's compelling evidence, so we'll just take it at face value. Cool. 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 Silence. It's the time for you to fight. What you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the victim. What's that on the right? Okay. I guess I didn't pay attention to it before. It's the same crack. Oh, get a better camera. What's wrong with you? Plenty of time to rue your defeat and slow train back to the provinces. And rue the day you came up against Katsuchi Ouchi in a court of law. Can't determine who took this photograph. The trial's gonna... Yeah, we know who took it. Yeah, there's a clue. I have the answer. Now, I don't know anything beyond that one question, so please don't ask any more questions after this, but I have to show it off. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense canon will reveal. No, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us. Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. However, it's powerful, forceful. I'm able to present evidence. Evidence, evidence, here we go.
Take that!
It's the newspaper again. Yes, the picture. Let's get it closely. You'll notice that there are some white lines on the right hand side. There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you. But if you look closely at this photograph, it's got the same cracks. Exactly the same pattern of lines. That tells us nothing. Ah, yeah, yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely, from the branches of a tree. There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach council. Oomph. Possibly my new favorite. Exclamation. Nymph. Taken by the same person. Do I really have to draw this? Yeah, it's camera defect, I guess. It's a crack in the lens. Which, I mean, get that fixed, dude. I know it's the 1800s, but they've got to have more than just, like, one lens. How did the newspaper accept that? Oh, because it's the 1800s and they don't have, like... Fine. 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 But... there must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. Utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one. I mean, who took that photo? Just tell me who took the photo, and bring him here. Bring him on in. A wag! Sorry, more Waluigi-esque. Wag! There you go. Who? I see where you're called a raucous England returnee. What are you yelling about? You've already testified. It's Menamemo. Menamemo! Me. Ne. Me. Mo. That last pose is a little too seductive. What was that? Oh, what? You say Menamemo? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Rayton Menamemo. Yep. Yeah, that's a name. Sure is. Alright. Well, now that he mentions it. Oh, him. Gimme that, please and thanks. Camera to the left of him. Notebook to the right. There I am. Stuck in the middle with Rayton Menamemo. Saying that this picture was taken by Menamemo, yes! My lord, your excellency, Esquire. He should be right behind you, theoretically. Just pose provocatively and he will indeed take more pictures. Alright. I want this knife and the murder weapon examined for traces of poison. I must list the assistants of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood. Ginyu Force. Meh. Menamemo! I do believe we've gotten to the halfway point. And I will use that halfway point. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. We're finishing this case today. By Jove. To get a drink. Alright. Let's see this through, shall we? I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Your strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone. Oh, that's not it at all. I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So to retrieve the substance from the English woman before anyone found out. Bum, 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 bum. You had no doubt about my mind, about my innocence, that you'd stand by me to the last. I remember. Yet, I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Drag me through the city streets. That's too good for me as well. I'm no better, you know. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task. Which is why I can see more clearly now, so, Ray. Why are we asking for forgiveness? No one's been convicted yet. We'll be fine. Probably we'll be fine. Maybe. Probably. Hopefully. You know, you always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. There's no one else. How could she have been stabbed like that? A great mystery indeed. Still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. Alright, however it happened and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you said you saw was true. Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order. Expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. One would expect, yes. Trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. I see. Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin. Oh. We could find it in that pen, one would assume. What's the matter, Sasanta? You're suddenly very quiet. It's the newspaper article. Wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. English lady swanned in without any compunction, said to Professor Nikitova. Well, Professor, surely your guest would love to hear about your work on that substance there? Put me in a very awkward position, to be frank, but Saki-san's curiosity had been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction. Saki-san knew about the poison. It's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin, too. Memo. Was that reporter at the beach? I don't remember the reporter being there. I think we found our murderer, y'all. Don't really know why yet, but... And we might not know until, like, case number 5, if we're being honest. That's usually how ace attorneys work. Everything gets tied up in the end. Usually. Well, the new witness is now ready to testify. Please proceed into the courtroom at once. All right. Please re-examine the knife used to end her life. Oh, he's way too happy about it. There's no poison on that blade, is there? Dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim. No trace of poison anywhere along its blade. No trace of poison on the blade, huh? But she showed poison signs, so I mean, the pen is extremely suspicious. Also, RM counts for writing memo. That's the same initials. 4th death saving throw. It's fine. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Write in memo the show you news, and what people like to call a journo. I was there in the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops so they're in print next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. Oh my god, your poor nipples. The nice guy of news. So, it was you who took this photograph, was it? Well, well, what have we here? I'm sorry. Oh, brace yourselves, people. Manuel senses a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play, defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. Readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold in 72 point in a 5-lay format for the morning edition. Huh? Right then, let's start with your name. Oh, it's Raitaro Naruhodo. Next, what made you want to become a lawyer? I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. You suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just borrowed Kasuma-sama's dream for a while. It's fine. By the way, my name is Takatsuchi Ouchi. That's the so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into the heart of every defense lawyer. Why are you doing that with a pencil? Don't. No, the readers won't buy that. What? Witness. Yep. This court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. Delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when it presented a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes story call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you gotta be fast. Fast legs to run with and fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't write it down, I always say. That's what I call my memoism. Alright. Memoism. Ah, yes, I remember your face at that day when you were interviewing myself and Sasaki-san. Yes, right, that was me, Menemo again. But you're supposed to be going back to the Shoyu offices after your meeting. The scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Words? A criminal, left to do as she pleases, just because she happens to be a British citizen. It's horse dung. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue. These are complex political issues at play. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down. Where did that come from? Those words you said in my memo pad. My blah 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 law blog. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Serious criminal going on like some junkhead. People need to know about this. So I decided to sneak after them. Get the woman's story so I could hammer her in the press. He knows the mending cantrip. Ah. Yeah. Can't be using spell slots on that. I'm saying that you did indeed witness it firsthand. The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Your poor nipples, man. Stop it. Yes, I saw it with my very own journal eyes, from start to finish. Through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Thank you, Menemo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. He's got the... Oh, yeah, he's got the same symbol as the pen. So that makes sense. So that was his pen. Which is probably where the poison is. Blah, 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 blah. Shanked. I don't know. Anyways, the beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool, and the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife. Throwing the Englishwoman to the floor, she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal, Spirit, burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready, click. Pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. He's just gonna keep that tension. Wow. Read screens, you say? Right. You can see him clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. Hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. This allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing, hot and up. Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut? Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish. You say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens? Well, luckily for me, they're pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime. Tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose. Run a risk one day, run a scoop next. That's a minimalism at its in a nutshell. Yep. Nailed it. Last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. Everyone's testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. No. Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published? Don't do it again. Oh, the tension. Seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood. Oh. Alright, I want to look at our new evidence right now first. Label written in a foreign language that I don't know. It's German. I see. German is the international language of medicine. Is that true? Was that true? Am I allowed to... I was gonna like pull the stopper off to see if there's anything here. I guess not. Alright, well that was useless. How about the knife? How are we feeling about Mr. Knife here? We're feeling pretty ambivalent about Mr. Knife here, it looks like. Nothing. Huh. Alright, well, super unhelpful, so, do we have anything that's, like... No, I didn't see anything that, like, stood out, so let's start pressing. It's about that time where pressing is more important than presenting. Call it journal instinct. Can you think of a better reason? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman? Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journo as a voyeur. It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge. Oh. Nope, you got it all wrong, little city boy. To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more. Ah, yes. The classic. I'm not racist. Everything is... I don't see color. I just see scoops. Scoops know no gender, man or woman. It's all news. That's not even Menoism. Menoism. It's basic journalism. Up-and-coming Nightcrawler. Oh, God. That was a movie. Oh, God. That was a movie. Oh. Jake Gyllenhaal, man. Oof. Spooky. Came in, started arguing with her. Actually saw Membami-san entering the hut. Yep, and she was raging like my journo spirit. An argument you mentioned, what's that about exactly? You stole it. I didn't steal it. That kind of thing. Poison, sure. Student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she laid into her anymore, there would have been eggs. Alright. This man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. That's a little, like, self-pat on the back to the writer there. I can appreciate it. Students' rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time. He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest. Anyway, the point is that the woman in the dock was mighty angry. God, you're gonna get splinters.
Hold it!
She threw her down and then stabbed. You swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place. Ha! Precise moment. I didn't just see it. I saw the whole hellish scene play out. Oh. From start to finish. Look at your simple plan of the beachhead. Hey, pressing actually worked. That's good. Right you are. It's all here in my memo pad. Okay, so you definitely just like slipped a knife in through the woven reeds, right? You just kind of went like shk. Or theoretically you like stabbed with your pen and then the knife? I'm not sure. Something like that. Next moment, as I was watching, evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. Next one went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. Yeah, and this is definitely not what happened. In a flash, plunged knife to her adversary's back. If she was sitting on the stool, that's easy access. Don't do it again. No, stop. You're... Oh! The pain. Dude's giving himself purple nurples like twice a minute. Yeah, what were you doing watching that terrible scene unfold? Not occurred to you trying to prevent the tragedy rather than just capture it on film? Journals have to be observers. We can't get... This guy is an up-and-coming Nightcrawler. I think he's become one. Obviously not. An observer always remains, looking in. On the outside. Something to be proud of, isn't it? Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor? I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Alright. Supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of menomemism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. Sure. I never once set foot in the hut nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was there only as an observer. I have a pen that says otherwise. Up till now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. In a way, that's more menomemoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting with his recriminatory words, Counsel? Menomemo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? Ugh. This pen was found at the scene of the death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you... If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. RM. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. Initials of the accused. Is that a coincidence, I wonder? God, mistaken identity happens so often in these games. No! Coincidental initials, again! Well, that's horse dung. Can't you see? One of the central tenets of metamemoism is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see on your right hand, there is a very obvious blue ink stain. Really, must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung! Is it not the case that before she died, you met with Brett in that beach hut? Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse. Exactly. Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. Yeah, there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In that case, Counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Sure, it's still on the pen. Let's just wrangle it around a little bit. Boop. There we go. Oh, I pressed A instead of present. Boop. As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will, of course, recognize. Goodness me. It's the emblem of the Shoyu News. In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News, whose initials are RM. How many stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Manuel-san, how do you respond? No. Use coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets? I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then. Fine. Won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. Don't do it. Stop. Stop. Oh! I, showing you news reporter, on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. When exactly was this? Well, as I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed up with her face in the hut. Couldn't last more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. And as we metamemoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes, alright, but on one condition. Condition? In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness. Saseki Natsume. Oh, because he knows about the poison. My notes here, that man has a secret of his own. And brace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one. It's big. Somehow I doubt that. He's pretty harmless. Hopefully. Metamoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well. I'll grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to find help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything else about that in his testimony, which is why Meno Memos demands that I reveal it now. The victim regained consciousness? Ah, well, when she did, you decided to ask her a question? That's, true, yes. He did. That's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. Well, yeah, she was an evil turd. Of course she was. It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious, even. Counsel for defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. I must know the truth. Implicated Ray. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her. She is a criminal. And, like, a criminal with no remorse. Outside, so long you stand, other witnesses come running, to realize that the victim's still at a pulse, so you're gonna have to watch out. So this writer man here is still in a very soon. Okay, we're gonna press on this fourth and the fifth one, because that seems like where we need more information. You should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man? Arrgh! Out with it, you good boy. What'd you say to her? What'd you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be on leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then, all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. I ran up the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Mrs. Brown on the ground, Miss Brown sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! What'd you ask her, Sasaki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? How'd the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But... one instant, you'll answer the questions. Unambiguously. I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. Oh, boy. I take that as more of a turd, but anyway, let's see. I didn't mean to actually, I was going to press on that, but...
Hold it!
Sprett pointed a finger at the defendant? Not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us with the student girl standing on the far side of her. When I asked who did this to you... Okay, so we are literally just... It's the exact same issue where the photographer was behind the wall to the left here, and so she's pointing right through... Yeah. Because no one saw him, so he was still hiding. He had just taken the picture, in fact. But fiddlesticks, I say. Not a British court of law. We respond in Japanese. I think she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Somewhere at the back of the hut where nobody was standing at all. Gasp! There's a very, very unclear point. Instead of there, I point there. No doubt this attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It's now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. Well, this is just foolish. Dies a 4th time. No, this was a 5th time. 5th death. Headlines writing itself. Dashing lawyers hopes dashed. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. No, the crime was committed yet. Possible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details I'm confident we'll find a clue. Yeah, I already found it. We already know exactly what's going on here. He just did a little slippy slip, and then he replaced the pen, and then he's going to be like, the pen doesn't have poison, and then we'll drop the reagent in the pen, it'll come up with poison, and it'll be like, whoa! And do some silly breakdown animation. It'll be highly enjoyable, as always. But the first case is always a little bit slower. Right now I'm just hoping for any clues as to Josiah Brett's, like, motives and everything, but maybe we'll get that in the future. Well, we will get in the future. They don't leave stuff like this unattended. Which is why I was so shocked when Case 5 in the first game was just like, actually, we're just going to raise a lot more questions and answer none of them until the next game. I, in fact, do have something further to add. I'm well versed in all forms of algebra. I know how.
Objection!
Oh, sorry. That was a desk slam objection this time. Alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture. An alternative theory? Ha! None exists. This is fiction. Fantasy. Right about there-ish. Outside the hut. But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire, that makes no sense at all. You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that. Obviously, its culprit had been outside the hut. There's no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. That's just not true. There is a way. And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that it is precisely the way Mrs. Brett was killed. Miss Brett. Just go to Mrs. all the time. Don't know why. What evidence? The reeds, I assume, is the only thing that actually shows anything, because the beach hut plan isn't really it. So,
Take that!
that's the only picture that shows the reeds. I hope... presented it now, but I haven't the first idea why it chose this piece. Okay, never mind. Silly me. A visible trace somewhere. Yeah, I was trying to point out the reeds. Does the other picture show the reeds more often? Let's see. Allow me to examine. Oh yeah, wait. There's a slit right here by the stool. I'm an idiot. Well, these things happen.
Take that! Objection!
Someone at least appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Oh, we have to point out... Alright. I guess that's to make sure people don't just spam click the present to try to figure out where it is just by brute forcing puzzle solutions, like I used to do. It's true, the hut in question had 4 walls, as you'd expect. However, no!
Objection!
Let's see. To assume as part of this fart-sickle scenario that the assailant was a knife thrower? You just poke it, dude. Just bleh. You recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Now, did he do this just for news, or is it something tied into this conspiracy? That is the real question here. I mean, I know we actually still have to prove that he's a killer, but, I mean, he is. So. Why your silence, Menamamo-san? Take it you don't deny the charge. This is absurd! Apparently we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Mbami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. Finally made him cave. I doubt it. Hold it. Oh boy. Time for the extremely unhinged part of the testimony. Quite possibly my favorite, when they construct absolutely insane theories, but somehow they still mostly work and you have to really work hard to prove them. Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed, doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. Saseki's just like, man, get me the heck out of here. This guy's nuts. Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed because of the dirt you drug up. Let's explain. I'm talking about the poison, of course. Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that the deadly poison you're developing was stolen from the laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? She had the poison in her body before she had been stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she'd been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. Confession became the argument of a metropolitan mind. Doesn't matter if I stabbed her. The classic arguments.
Objection! Objection!
Come on, let me test the pen. We've died at least 2 times over at this point. Nice. Where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? Well, there's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it. Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see. Oh, that makes sense. A bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into either. So it was in his pen, and he went like, whoosh. That makes more sense than stabbing someone and then stabbing someone a second time. My initial theory's usually a little off base. Ugh. Would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, it's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Hmm? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it, oh, was you. Further testimony. Alright. Complete innocence. Oh yes, I established things this moment. It's the very fact that proves I'm innocent, because why would I have bothered to stab the one if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. How is this being... Oh my god. You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back. I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. Still have no idea why she killed Dr. Wilson. Someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told. Feel really, really off while giving false information. My test. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yep. Yep. Turns out there's somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. Blaming it back on the student girl. Yes, stabbing someone in the back would be nonsensical. How are you considering that? No, this is not logical. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. I stabbed her just because I felt like it was justice. You wouldn't have even known she was poisoned. Oh my god, that's at least attempted murder, even if it's not all made up. Is he gonna get away with it now? Nah. Slap. Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Final cross-examination in this trial. Alright. Alright, time to start pressing. I assume. Complete innocence. Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman. And of course, that fact proves I'm innocent. So you do admit you had murderous intentions toward Miss Brett then? Ha! One's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation? She was pure evil. A cold-blooded killer committed murder right here in our Empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Stop slapping your nips, man! Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So in summary, murderous intentions then. Blight, so I had to do what was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student group. Ah, yes. Stabbing someone who is already dying is fine. The poisoning has nothing to do with me at all. Why would I have bothered to stab the one if I already poisoned her? To literally frame someone else so you'd get off. Oh, boy. Still maintaining you didn't give the poison to the victim. Obviously, it'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these. Bum, 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 bum. Oh. Well, I'm getting exhausted. 2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil and you're got it coming. It's how the law works, the law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds.
Hold it!
Okay. Arguing gets your goat. Got it. You hate livestock. It's fine. It's fine. Someone was laying the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Except that was pretty much established not to do anything. Case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. Hold it. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Girl, you stand accused here, you can't just blurt out whatever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. This awful man is making all of this up. Sasato, please, you have to stop calling me Sasato, man. Turn the docket once from bodies. We're in the middle of it. Okay, no one at all noticed that. That's good. Let's see, please, I implore you. Journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. It's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great, peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Judge, help me. Thank you. Appreciate it. It would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Hold it!
I mean, I'm just gonna keep pressing until things work. Expected her being the one to steal the poison. Let's think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, killed Dr. Wilson through poison, in case we didn't know that. Surely be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin be developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or calling getting the poison out would be very difficult. Well, that's true. I pestered Nikito until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But, as I left to search from top to tail, Paul revealed the existence of the toxin he'd been developing, you see, and since he expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Gave nothing away, obviously, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. Just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. Want to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. When did that happen? There wasn't any poison in the fourth king. It's fine, it's fine. Military would be dragged into it, along with the university, the whole government even, would be a complete disaster. How'd she respond? She didn't know the first thing about it. In English. Oh yes, Minamimo-san, one small question if you don't mind. I do mind, can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard. The story was published this morning. Far too accurate to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Don't have to reveal my sources. Ah, of course. That's not guilty at all. Or did write that article based on what he overheard from outside the hut. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why I came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up. My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Excellency. There's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. We're just amending testimony all the time. Oh, he's so upset. So big man. Point is, if you'd poisoned someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. Yes, again, yes there would be. Be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even tasted it. poison the wine. Poison the wine. Oh boy. Unwilling takes poison already, the porter would have no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable, but there's no question that this man was responsible for the murder. If we could think of a plausible explanation of why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. I'm trying to glean information. I'm trying. Let's see. So we got this updated. Based it on information you gleaned by eavesdropping. Poison, even small amount into your mouth would be a wound, would prove fatal in minutes. Current methods contact. Like, I guess the phone. Alright. I guess because he'd know what the poison would look like, so he tried to... I guess that makes sense. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course he did. There'd be no question of that. All we were told was that it was a terrible toxin. One more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Mbami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped. It would have been impossible for her to slip the poison into Mrs. Brett's drink. Information. Information which she subsequently included in this newspaper article. Namely that it was in strict secrecy and it couldn't be readily obtained. It's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab. Furthermore, anyone affected by poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. Extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. In other words, it would have been clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. towards someone like you. Meta memo. It's you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting. You quickly realized that this was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned to the facts. You'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen. The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he?
Objection!
I don't need a counter-argument. I mean, you do, though. It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument, because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? I have your pen, bub. Thoroughly searched. Bet they didn't search his pen, though. Let me show the pen. We've got this all sewn up, I think. Pen, 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 pen.
Take that!
I just really want to see the breakdown. It's always a classic. Oh, right. Fountain pens must be pretty new in the world. Everyone's just like, whoa! And then he'll say, prove it! And then we'll use the reagent, and then he will cry. Oh, we were fearing offending our guest. Oh my gosh.
Objection! Objection!
It's true, it was out of ink. Maybe she just died from drinking ink. More Waluigi land. This is how our modern justice system works. What if thinking my pen runs dry? Stop slapping your nipples! You got no nips left, man? Oh, he's Wolverine now. I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Ah! You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen. That's a wild speculation. Nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. Looks like it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. says the man who doesn't understand what the poison is. The courtroom evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Alright, come on. Just let me do it. Pretty please. Bop, 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 bop. Blammo. Let's test it out. Come on. Just let me test it out. One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. Oh god. Someone get Sabretooth or Magneto in here. Craps are bad enough. At least no one to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation, but bowing its head to every foreign power. When I took over foreign pen, it found precisely all the mental distance, races, the memo is paragraph of minute. Sato with me. I'm there. I went through him. That was the best part of today already. I do it right? That was a Sato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryotaro takedown. The instant the first dropper agent touched the nib, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. Excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Is it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project, after all. Too juicy like a journal for a journal like me to pass up. How'd she end up dead? Lieutenant Quizzer on the situation as a reporter. Known killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. She just laughed in my face. What's this? A Far Eastern caveman reporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. Get out of here and crawl back to the cave you came from. Suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up. So we still have no reason or motive for what she did in the first case. Oh, maybe in the others. That's still going to be an unsolved mystery. We often talked about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in that courtroom, and finally I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. Oh, maybe we will. Remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on. Doesn't it strike you as strange we're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it, and yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It's all ready to be published. You know what happened? The editors tore the article up. Came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? All I did was frame a college student to ruin her life forever. Apparently we've reached a conclusion to this trial at last. It's almost unbelievable this is your first experience in the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. I like that they gave her an opportunity to be a character outside of, I am very helpful in telling you what to do. Do you have any final thoughts? Is he about to cut off his pinky? Or is he gonna cut off his little hair piece? I, Takatsuchi of the Ouchi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, trying to culture enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that's the true path to Ouchiism. Ouchiism? One hopes that the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Come on. A sprig of my top knot. The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takatsuchi. Oh, the dramatic slow-mo. Amen. Oh, that's a good one. Hey, TP man, how you doing? Regards to the defendant, Not guilty. Confetti. Woo, woo. Sorry, flower petals. Woo. Occasionally, I feel like I remember them doing like fireworks at one point. Maybe I'm nuts. They definitely did confetti. Maybe I'm just imagining like the confetti poppers as that. I could see that. That was a clean cut. It was. I wish I could get that close of a shave, quite honestly. A little jealous. It's over. My heart's still pounding in my chest, though. That's all I can do to just stay standing. Where's such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear? Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. So touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm gonna cry. Wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end, too. So how does this get us sent back to England? I assume it's talk about the conspiracy, or the cover-up in this case. So they're definitely going to go over it. Well, it'll be part of probably the last case, because life is pain. And anticipation is rampant, but... And that was a fun little opening case, as they always tend to be. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, defense attorney Rentaro. Time to bid farewell to Rentaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato. I'll never see him again, then. What a terrible shame. What is happening? Ah, Saseki-san and Inspector Asanaga. Do you hope you've been keeping well? Is that really you? Yeah, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me. I don't... So dashing. So divine. No! Doubly dashing! Yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Mr. Sato, Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san's Esquire's cousin. Astonishing, astounding, ace, attorney. That's the name of the game. Verbatim. If that's actually not the next game series title, I will cry. Poor Saseki-san. So confused. Still remember the first time I ever met him. Stunned. It's a truly impressive disguise. I came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. That you did. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Please. Wipe your mouth again, buddy. You got some... Oh, boy. I'm a professional, of course. I do worry about him sometimes. I Really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And now? And then he was undercover as a sailor. And he got beat up. And now he's undercover as a turtle. I'm just imagining him completely underwater, and then just like with a snorkel or something, and he's like pretending to be a turtle as he's undercover. That's what I would do. Now the truth has been lost for it. Somehow I think the truth will come out. They're not gonna tease it this much and then be like, you know, sometimes you don't really need to know anything. You know, just do the mystery box style of narrative where, like, it's more fun not knowing, when that's just bullshit. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh, it's the worst. Why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. Bet we will. Bet we will. Voyage to Great Britain made a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Herlock Sholmes, great detective, I mean. I remember Sholmes well, of course. My arch nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to stories published about him in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, effectively once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. It can't be a coincidence. Yes, I think we had established already that that was the partner of Herlock Sholmes. If that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. Yes, these are things. But why? Why? As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the university, but I also serve another role as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. In that case, I'm sure you'll understand that there's some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. How about just one thing? Just this smidge of a secret. Why'd you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you'd collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. After that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. There's something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me. It's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me. Do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Sasato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't. Blah! Let me go. Oh, give me some juicy deets, memo, before you go away for life. One throw wasn't enough for you. Got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor. I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on, in that visiting student's fate. Gasp. No, not her. The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago. Oh, Kazuma? What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never... I knew that judge was a son of a gun. Never messing with a Japanese judge in my life. He's terrifying. Ooh. Spooky. I was going to tell you the rickshaw had arrived. It's a good job I came by. Yeah, thank you for dealing with him. I'll be there shortly. Trial's over. I'm not your excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend. Shaishiro Jijo. Oh no, they've given him a name. Maybe this judge will be involved in it. Did you know all along from the start of the trial? Huh. A judge sees everything. This judge is way too competent. I'm more used to my judges being very, very incompetent. Let's go back to Britain, actually. Bring me back to Britain. Couldn't let you take the risk. Shiro here hadn't known, then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand as an old friend. Shall we? Yes. Having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address before we go further. Sorry, my dear. Shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. Cool. Great. I just want to know what the heck's going on. That's all I need to know. What did you think of my Seshiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. I disagree. I think you've done it recently. I sense your murderous intent. The unrestrained violence. Kazuma-sama, yep. Giselle Brett was not one of the names, I don't think. Maybe she was? Nobody else is around. Kazuma was mentioned, so was Wilson. I think perhaps it could be fate we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. Please don't be a joke. I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day he sent the telegram to you asking you to return Japan. What was it then, the particular port he was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in? Never forget. He concerned himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Did that just... What? Which is... Wait, there was a second case? Oh, this is some retcon BS. The general public, including me, the audience. That case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. If only we had seen that case! That horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. I remember they introduced two characters that were never shown again. That caused my father to send me back urgently to Japan. I thought the whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story was not yet told. Are we going to flash back to it? I remember it like it was yesterday. Oh shit, we might.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Well, now that mostly just makes me upset because I want to play more, but I have to get going. We streamed for almost 4 hours today, and I've got a big week of trying to figure out what the heck Inscription's about next week, so I'll probably leave it off there. However, you know, thanks for joining us this fine members of the Clouded Kokoro this fine afternoon. The Great Departed Soul. Oh, the Return of the Great Departed Soul. That looks like it's the Great World Fair that they were talking about. Oh boy. Twisted Karma in his last bow, and then the resolve of, wow. Pretty slick. Turn to the title screen. What's up, Kamikaze? You have a little quest to do in Pokemon Art. Oh yeah, tell me about it. I can dig around on this for a while. It's not like we're doing anything else. Task given to do certain things with certain Pokemon. Okay. What, like Poison Sting with a Wurmple or something like that? Paralyze 10 Pokemon with Pikachu. Catch this many type Pokemon. Observe this Pokemon using this move this many times. Okay. Things like that. That seems fine. That's the objection. It's the Adventures version. So much to do. So much to do. So every Pokemon has like 5 or 10 tasks. I don't think I'd be opposed to that, honestly. And their evolutions all have different to right. That makes sense. That's cool. I'm gonna be as busy with this game for a while. Checks notes. Pretty sure Dying Light 2 comes out in like a week, right? Good luck to you, Kamikaze. That's okay. That's me too, right now. I've been like trying to fit in. Also, you got an Eevee. Oh boy, that's a lot of evolutions. Sorry, evolutions. I've got the same issues where like I've got a lot of stuff that I bought a absolute, like I showed on the Discord, like I've got a ton of stuff that I'm streaming because I bought a ton. One of the requests is to evolve an Eevee 10 times. Oh my god. Well, let's see. I mean, I guess it depends on how many evolutions. How many evolutions are in the game, right? Because like, if every evolution is in the game, you've got the 3 OG. You've got the 2 Psychic Darks, and then you've got Leafeon, Glaceon, and then what? The Fairy one. Oh boy, I don't know. Fairy one. Sylveon. That's only so if they have all 8 of those, that's only like you'd have to do that already for the Pokedex, and then 2 more. And they might have added more. I didn't look at the Pokedex because I wanted to... I don't even know what the final evolutions look like. Because I've wanted to keep, like, spoilerinos away from me. It seems like a lot of fun, though. I wonder if it devolves into busy work at any time, or if it stays pretty fresh. It really depends on the variety of the stuff, I would assume. Jeez Louise, though. That's a lot. Oh god, we've got like Elden Ring coming next month. There's like Horizon Zero Dawn, or whatever, Forbidden West. I'm not gonna stream that one, but like it's coming out. Dying Light 2 is coming out. Tunic. Oof. All sorts of stuff. Anyways. Kamikaze, have a good one. Everyone else, thanks for watching. If you'd like to leave a follow, we'll be back on Monday with Inscription. I am, like, ridiculously excited to play that. So, it'll be a good one. I'll be pretty up and at 'em for it. And we'll start the next case in a week or two. We'll figure it out. Announce it on Discord like we always do. And yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great night. Yada, yada, yada. Appreciate you watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Toodles for now.